Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Leaving Van Gogh by Carol Wallace, narrated by Luis Moreno and directed by Robert Pear. The author opens with these words from Vincent Van Gogh to Theo Van Gogh, written in March 1888. It is my constant hope that I am not working for myself alone. And now, Leaving Van Gogh.
Prologue, 1905. I held Vincent's skull in my hands yesterday. It was a strange and melancholy moment. As I examined the yellowed cranium, my imagination clothed it with flesh. I could see the strong ridge over his eyebrows and the steep ledges of his cheekbones, which were the foundations of his face. The doctor in me couldn't help looking for something else as well. Phrenology is out of fashion now, but I am an old man. When I began my medical training, there were doctors who believed the shape of a skull betrayed or predicted a man's mental state. What should this skull have told me then? Should I have detected from it that Vincent was mad? Or that he was a genius? Perhaps that he was both? I had been hoping, well, it was foolish. I suppose I had been hoping that Vincent would speak to me again. Nonsense, of course. I didn't really imagine that a voice would issue from between his few ruined teeth, but I thought the sight of his skull might prompt a new memory, something I'd forgotten, a phrase, a glance, a gesture that would provide me with new insight into his mental predicament. Of course, I couldn't wait as long as I would have liked for some ghostly trace. We were reinterring the man. It was no time for investigation. The ceremony was moving, but peculiar. At nearly 80, I often feel that I have done everything in life, but until yesterday, I had never reburied anyone. We wouldn't have had to disturb Vincent's grave if there had been an empty plot alongside it for Theo's remains. Now, in a new plot, the modest headstones rise side by side, each engraved plainly with one of the brothers' names. Theo's body still lies in Utrecht, but his widow promises to bring it to Auvers when she can, because she feels their fraternal bond should be honored even in death. Not many widows, certainly not those who had remarried as Madame Van Gogh-who did, are so self-effacing. I am certain, though, that she is right. The new gravesite is better. It lies on the north side of the cemetery against the wall. Vincent would have liked this spot, surrounded as it is by the wheat fields he painted with such bravura and devotion. I transplanted some sunflowers from his first grave. They gave poor Theo pleasure and consolation back then. I am glad to think that something I did might have been a source of comfort to that poor man. We all waited until the gravedigger had shoveled the last handful of earth onto the coffin. It was a warm afternoon, not as hot as that searing July day 15 years ago when we last buried Vincent, but hot enough for the gravedigger's task to seem interminable. Yet we stood there, Van Gogh's survivors, if you like, watching the casket vanish beneath the crumbly soil and thinking about him. He told his brother that I was sicker than he, yet there he is, a pile of bones, and here I am, still trying to grasp what he was to me and I to him. I have known many artists. Vincent was something different. Everyone who knew him well understood this, so I haven't been surprised at Theo's wife's unremitting efforts to foster his reputation. Of course, she does so because she possesses most of his paintings. That is natural. But she must also feel, as I do, that her life was briefly illuminated by the presence of a remarkable person. I have children, but I will have no grandchildren. Marguerite is most emphatically an old maid, and Paul is no family man. If anyone knows my name 100 years from now, it will be in connection.